basket? Okay. Well, it went to not live, so I don't know what is going on. Hopefully, you guys are seeing this. I have no idea what's going on with StreamYard unless they too are affected by the, hurricane. I was live and then I wasn't. Uh, so who knows? Hopefully, I haven't been babbling on this entire time. But, it it could be that I was. So again, if you are in the path of this storm, if you are anywhere, our own Squid Pro Quo is in the yeah, I have no idea what's going on with StreamYard, you guys. I don't know. Um I appreciate you guys having patience with me yesterday. It was just a really bad day. Seasonal transitions are obviously not my greatest point with flare ups, and it looked like, um, it looks like a lot of people that struggle with chronic illness or chronic pain were having a struggle bus day yesterday. So I do appreciate you guys having patience with that. I definitely thought that I had put this on YouTube, but I didn't, and apparently yeah, the hurricane does kind of look like a sperm, but it's also hitting a state that looks like a dong. So, I mean, it is 2024 and absurdity is insanity. Um, Again, if you are in the path of this storm, please be careful, please be safe, and don't forget that, upper parts of the path, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, maybe even Missouri and Arkansas can see really strong storms because of this. So it's not just going to affect Florida. It's not just going to affect the coast. You know, oh, well, goodness, stay safe uh, and be careful. So, you don't have to go insane and get a treadle sewing machine or, buy stacks of bottled water like maybe I'm not, admitting to, but I know someone who did. You don't have to go cray cray with it, but try to have stock up of things that you might need. Uh, Around here, typically, if we get a lot of rain, our neighborhood gets flooded in because we kind of live in the hilly part of Indiana. So it's always nice to have a couple of things just saved back, an extra thing that uh, well, I am not from Florida, so I do not know. If I know, I don't know. But, just make sure I try. I will be honest with you. I just maybe bought out the entire stock of Kroger's discounted or clearance ding dongs. They will all be gone by Sunday. I do not lie. My family, my kiddos are like a pack of ravaging hyenas. They will be gone before I even bring them into the house, to be honest. And I also bought Laura bars, so, balance or what have you. You know, it is what it is. Some weeks you just have to surrender. My middle son was like, "I told the teacher that we don't buy organic, that we buy generic, because that's my joke." And he said, "My teacher laughed, but I still don't get why she was laughing." And I was like, "Well, in positive news, the last of 8 escaped bulls from a Massachusetts rodeo were caught on the highway, which is always good. I mean, I wouldn't imagine that Massachusetts could get any crazier, but I would be willing to make all 8 of these escaped bulls state troopers to replace the state troopers in Canton. Not gonna lie. A lone bull on the lam, one of 8 that escaped from a rodeo in Massachusetts' small parking lot, has been caught, but not before a pursuit that ended on the highway. The bull was lassoed and led to a trailer on US Highway 1 in North Attleboro on Monday night, not far from where a group of 8 broke through their pens and charged through a crowded parking lot on Sunday. Can you imagine Can you imagine calling State Farm and they're like, "Okay, what happened to your car?" And you're like, "Look, the hood got gored by a bull." This is gonna sound crazy because I am in Massachusetts, but, yeah, "I'm gonna need you to pay for this. Does State Farm cover bull?" And then the wife's gonna come in, "Well, she sounds hideous." And it's like, "It's a dude." Yeah, I don't understand. Was there not a horse arena or things like that? I know Massachusetts may not be big on rodeo, but you think there would have been venues. Maybe they would have had like a dressage arena or something where they could have done this. And I know I am prejudging Massachusetts. Maybe they have a giant rodeo thing that I had no idea about. But you like in the middle of, Greenwood Park Mall parking lot just seems like a recipe for disaster. Let's see. A bull knocked down, or sorry. So 8 of the 7 were corralled by late Sunday afternoon at the festival rodeo at Emerald Square Mall, and that was shut down. A missing pet tracking business was called in to help find the last bull, WBZ News reported. They went out with a drone, called police when they saw a bull. I've have to say I've never went out looking for a lost bull. This is one for the books, said Samantha Beckman of Wandering Paws K9. Police cruisers followed the bull as it trotted near several businesses and through the woods before it was caught. Rodeo personnel and the Massachusetts State Police Air Wing worked with local police and fire departments. So, oh, okay, Jedi Jess is smart. She says that they have fairgrounds about 45 minutes away in Richmond, Rhode Island that handles this kind of stuff every year for a week. Yeah, but how can you go to Hot Topic and watch bull riders? Slinky, I didn't know there were different types of rodeo. Perhaps Massachusetts style? I don't know. Maybe the one where they have barrel ra Look, I am the worst of Indiana about sports and anything. So who knows? In odd news, and I didn't even know that Lee Malvo was going to be resentenced. But if you guys don't remember, Lee Malvo was part of the two-person long distance force multipliers that kept the city or DC and Virginia in terror for several weeks years ago. They randomly unalived people from the back of their car where they had made a nest of sorts. Daggone you, YouTube. You let CNN talk about this stuff. Let Mo talk about this stuff and use real words. But I did not know that they were going to resentence him. So resentencing for Lee Malvo postponed in Maryland after Virginia says he can't attend in person. A Maryland judge on Wednesday indefinitely postponed a resentencing hearing for convicted sniper Lee Boyd Malvo after Virginia rejected a request to temporarily let him out of prison to attend a court session in Maryland. Malvo and his partner, John Allen Muhammad, shot and unalived 10 people and wounded 3 others over a 3-week span in October 2002 that terrorized and terrified the Washington, D.C. area. Multiple other victims were shot and unalived across the country in the months prior as the duo made their way to the area around the nation's capital from Washington state. Malvo, who was 17 years old at the time of the shootings, was convicted of multiple counts of murder in Virginia and Maryland and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He has been serving his sentence in Virginia. Muhammad, who was the older of the two, and was accused of manipulating, Malvo to serve as a partner, was shuffled off this mortal coil by the state of Virginia in 2009. Since Malvo was initially sentenced, though, a series of Supreme Court rulings and changes in both Maryland and Virginia law have severely limited or even abolished the ability to sentence minors to life in prison without parole. In 2022, Maryland's highest court ruled 4-3 that Malvo was entitled to a new sentencing hearing. That hearing was scheduled to occur in December in Montgomery County, Maryland, but Malvo has insisted that he be allowed to attend that sentencing hearing in person, and his court-appointed lawyer argued that if it isn't allowed to do so, his guilty pleas in Maryland should be vacated and he should be given a new trial. Quote, he has the right to be there in person and he's not waiving it. His lawyer, Michael Beach, said Wednesday. Prosecutors said they've made efforts to have Malvo transferred from Virginia to attend the hearing, but those efforts were rejected. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin's spokesperson, Christian Martinez, confirmed after Wednesday's hearing in a written statement that, quote, due to his violent criminal history, Governor Youngkin's position is that Mr. Malvo should complete his Virginia sentence before being transferred to Maryland for resentencing. With Malvo unavailable to attend in person, prosecutors said that Malvo could either attend a hearing virtually or wait until he's released from custody in Virginia. Montgomery County Circuit Court Judge Sharon Burrell sided with prosecutors. She said that since Malvo insists on attending in person, Virginia won't release him. She has no choice but to indefinitely postpone the resentencing until he finishes serving his time in Virginia. Well, in that special. So he's going to be there for life, and then we can just, wait. Beach said after the hearing that he expects to pursue any appeal options available to him. He said during the proceedings that if the sentencing hearing is delayed for an extended period of time, he believes it raises due process issues that could require the Maryland charges against Malvo to be dismissed. Malvo, who is 39, attended Wednesday's hearings virtually, wearing yellow prison uniforms. He still looks youthful, similar to his appearance at the time of his arrest, perhaps underscoring the difficulties of conducting a hearing over video. Wednesday's hearing was delayed 3 times when the video hookup between the prisons and the courthouse disconnected. Montgomery County State's Attorney John McCarthy said after a hearing that it was too early to say what kind of prison term he would seek once Malvo is sentenced in Maryland, though any prison term imposed on him in Maryland should be given in addition to the time he's served in Virginia rather than giving Malvo credit for time served. And Jeff Montgomery is actually right. There are no statutes of limitations on unaliving people. So, Mr. Malvo, I don't think you're going to get out of, the prison anytime soon. But, aces for trying. Oh, okay. Well, Lord Chippy needs to be here for this one because what in the absolute Schnell, woman? Again, I don't try to tell anyone how to parent because I think every family is unique and what works for one family doesn't work for another. But if you are told multiple times, do not co-sleep with your baby, and they have these new things where you can co-sleep safely. It's like a little cot with raised edges. I sleep so lightly. They have bassinets that hook up to the side of the bed. I mean, heck, use a box for God's sake. If you can't afford those things, line it with, a pillow, and then you have a baby thing. There are so many things that could have been done to prevent this. And this story burns my biscuits, y'all. It just does. Quote, not so sure about that. A judge chides a self-described quote unquote super mother. Is she what, like the super mayor? Who repeatedly ignored advice about co-sleeping with infants and eventually caused her baby girl to lose her life. And of course, she's from Indiana because why not? I have seen them eyebrows in Walmart. A self-proclaimed quote-unquote supermom in Indiana will spend just shy of a decade behind bars for the 2016 co-sleeping death of her 4-month-old daughter, authorities announced this week. On September 3rd, Tricia K. Kavanaugh, 34, pled guilty to 1 count of neglect of a dependent, resulting in serious bodily injury before Delaware County Circuit Court Judge Douglas Mahor. That is his name, Mahor. I will highlight it because that might be the worst name to ever have as a child. Could you imagine? I know it's spelled differently. Well, I don't know. I will have to get to the article, but I'm guessing doctors, other people, I don't know. On Monday, she was ordered to spend the next 14 years behind bars following her time in state prison. Kavanaugh will be subject to an additional 2 years of supervised release, according to a press release issued by the Delaware County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. Formal justice in the case was a long time coming. Quote, I know she was not held in jail the entire time awaiting trial. Delaware County Prosecuting Attorney Eric M. Hoffman told Law and Crime in an email. She made bail at some point, and then at some point was on the lam for a while, and then she was arrested and held until she pled guilty. The incident occurred sometime around the morning of June 6, 2016, in a residence on North Glenwood Avenue in Muncie, a medium-sized city some 50 miles northeast of Indianapolis. On the day in question, Muncie Police Department was responding to a call about an unresponsive child, court documents show. Police entered the house to find Kavanaugh kneeling on the floor in the living room next to her daughter, an affidavit of probable cause for arrest without a warrant says. Officers observed the child unresponsive lying on the floor, the document read. Kavanaugh was crying hysterically and trying to give the child CPR. Once officers arrived, they took CPR efforts over until EMS arrived. The child was rushed to nearby Indiana University Health Ball Memorial Hospital in Muncie, according to court documents. Life-saving efforts continued for some time, but unfortunately, they couldn't save her. Quote, while officers were inside the residence administering aid, they detected the odor of burnt marijuana, the affidavit reads. Now, I don't care if she was smoking the devil's lettuce on principle or theory. I do know that it can cause you to sleep deeper, which is why close sleeping is so incredibly dangerous. If you are a deep sleeper, if you tend to roll over in your sleep, it's just, there are better options, y'all. I am not trying to give you all the advice of Mama Mo, but I will tell you if it is easier to co-sleep for you, they have new things and they have solutions that can keep your child safe. One of the initial responding officers conducted a brief crime scene interview with the since condemned mother and ascertained that Kavanaugh had woken up a few hours earlier and brought the child to her bed to feed her. I believe she was nursing, according to the paperwork. Then Kavanaugh said after her girl was done eating, she fell asleep with the baby on the bed right next to her. When she woke up again, her little girl was next to her face down. The officer who authored the police report, Amy Kessler, arrived later and took note of several relevant issues at the scene. The document reads, at the time, Kavanaugh appeared to be intoxicated with unsteady balance, slow and slur speech, and poor manual dexterity. Now, as someone who does deal with these things when not intoxicated due to medication and pain fog sometimes, these could be I doubt that they were her having a chronic issue, but those should, not be an immediate leap to, well, this person is definitely intoxicated, because there are medical conditions that might do this as well. Absolutely. There are so many ways to, figure these things out. I know how tired you are with a newborn. I have been there 6 times. But, you never want to be tired or impaired and have it cost you your child. Now, while Kavanaugh let's see here. While the affiant was on scene, she overheard Kavanaugh say to a family member, quote, I don't know what happened. I shouldn't have taken my Norco, end quote. Kavanaugh was subsequently transported to IU Health Ball Memorial Hospital. While Kavanaugh was at the hospital, investigators obtained a search warrant authorizing a legal blood draw. Prior to submitting the blood draw, Kavanaugh submitted to a saliva drug screen at the request of Cindy Baldwin from the Department of Children's Services. As a result of the DCS screen, there were positive readouts for hydrocodone, diazepam, noradiazepam, and oxycodone. Kavanaugh then submitted to a legal blood draw. The results of the legal blood draw were positive for hydrocodone and noradiazepam. So, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't want people to leap to different ideas because I know there are several times yesterday that I could have appeared very, very drunk. Even Mr. Mo was like, "You're really off today." And I was like, "I'm not masking. Today I'm not masking. I have no energy to mask. This is what it really looks like when I don't put effort into actually having things put together. This is what happens when I'm at my limit." Yeah, this is pissing me off the more I read it. And she's breastfeeding. This woman is all the messed up. Kavanaugh appears to have escaped homicide charges. As a result of the positive drug screening, police were able to obtain a search warrant for the residence. There were multiple prescription drugs that were discovered, as well as several empty prescription drug bottles. At least one of those bottles in the residence without Kavanaugh having a prescription. Other prescriptions had lapsed the few months prior. Kavanaugh appears to have escaped the homicide charge because the autopsy on her daughter was unable to determine either a cause or manner of the child's death. The physician who performed the autopsy, however, wrote that unsafe sleeping conditions were a contributing factor to her passing away. The concept of co-sleeping when an adult and small child share a bed is a practice advised against for infants by the American Academy of Pediatrics due to the high risk of injury or death. Quote, "This case is a prime example of a needless death of an infant due to unsafe sleeping practices," Hoffman said in a statement. "Parents and caregivers must follow the ABCs of safe sleep. Infants and babies should always sleep alone, on their backs, and in a safe crib. Sleeping with an adult in a bed can result in fatal smothering of an infant, contrary to the belief of some. Sleeping in an adult bed with an infant or engaging in other unsafe sleeping practice is by definition child neglect." End quote. Additional investigation determined that Kavanaugh, in fact, had been previously in trouble with child welfare authorities for co-sleeping with her children, and that she was well aware of the risks such sleeping methods pose. Quote, "During one prior investigation from January 2015, a DCS case manager had visited Kavanaugh's residence and found her co-sleeping with her youngest child, who was 2 months old at the time," the affidavit reads. During that investigation, DCS case manager Alyssa Chrysler spoke with Kavanaugh. During that conversation, Kavanaugh stated that she is, quote, "really bad," end quote, about co-sleeping, but understands why it's risky. And that's a quote. A drug screen was performed at that time and came back positive for Xanax, marijuana, and cocaine. I withdraw any support I have saying this might have been a chronic condition. Now, she was prescribed a whole hell of a lot of pretty heavy duty drugs, but those seem to have been lapsed prescriptions. But eventually the defendant was back at it again after being appraised again and repeatedly of the dangers of co-sleeping. When her daughter was born on February 2016, hospital staff took specific measures due to her history of child neglect. Now, this one hits pretty hard for me because 2016 in February, I was still carrying the youngest, most feral boy child. And this was devastating to hear something like this. Now that I'm reading this stuff, I remember this case. But this was devastating to think that people still don't understand how dangerous this can be, especially when you are not in your right mind. Following the girl's birth, the hospital educated Kavanaugh about unsafe sleep and the dangers of co-sleeping. Kavanaugh was instructed that newborns should sleep alone on their back in a crib or pack and play. The hospital provided Kavanaugh with a document titled Newborn Safety Information for Parents. It was instructional and educational, which was signed by Kavanaugh, informed of the dangers of co-sleeping with an infant, specifically the form signed and acknowledged by Kavanaugh states, quote, do not sleep with your baby in your bed or while relaxing on the couch or a chair. Medical records indicate that despite being provided this information, the nursing staff in the labor and delivery unit found Selena sleeping in bed with Kavanaugh. The staff again educated Kavanaugh on the danger of co-sleeping and the importance of putting the infant back in the crib if she became drowsy. The staff also noted that Kavanaugh had a stuffed animal in the bed with her and Selena. Kavanaugh was once again educated about safe sleep prior to Kavanaugh being discharged from the hospital on February 14th, 2016. She was also provided with additional educational material pertaining to safe sleep. Material included instructions for Kavanaugh not to have the child sleep with her in the bed. These instructions were again signed by Kavanaugh. Now, I will be completely honest with you guys. When you are on child maybe number 4, you technically, after delivery, are supposed to watch all of these infotainment videos to explain, taking a baby home, what to expect for the first week or so, because there are a lot of things that you would never, ever know. And I appreciated those infotainment videos with my first and second child. But after a while, the nurses stopped making me watch them because I'm like, look, this is baby number 4. Do I have to watch, how to take an umbilical cord off or how to treat an umbilical cord? Because pretty sure I know how. Now, if you could tell me how to take care of, because number 4 was the start of the boy parade, I was like, I need to know how to take care of the downstairs bits after, they've gotten their little surgery. So I needed to know that. Greedy bloke, it is upsetting that, things change all the time. Well, I didn't want to say their little things, but trying to give them some dignity somewhere. I don't know where. They have me as a mother, but I'm saving up those embarrassing stories for later. Kavanaugh was charged in July 2017 in connection with her daughter's death. At first, she pled not guilty and eventually made bail. Then, when she was slated to plead guilty to a level 1 felony in September 2020, she skipped out on her sentencing hearing while on pretrial release, according to the Star Press. After that, she was charged with violating her pretrial home release program, escape and theft. She was arrested again soon. During her sentencing hearing, Kavanaugh was credited with time spent in pretrial detention. As a result of those credits, she has roughly 9 years left to do on a 14-year sentence. Now, here's something you might not know about Indiana. And I don't know that it's the same in other states, but Indiana, for every good day you have, you get a good day credit. So she could only spend 7 years in prison. They do say, 14 years. But given the way Indiana time credits work, she could only spend 7 years. During the sentencing, Kavanaugh pled her case by referring to herself as a, quote, super mom. She meant super high mom. She just meant, she forgot a word. She was like, super high. It changes constantly. My mom, I think, I was the first child in the family that got an actual car seat, like a real, honest to God car seat. I don't know where they put newborns before that. I think maybe milk crates or in I don't know, the back rear window shield part, that little flat part. I don't know where they put newborns before they had car seats, but I'm guessing milk crates. Like just line a box or something like with kittens. I don't know. But things change constantly. That's why I will give you guys advice. Do what works for your own family. You're gonna see a lot of parents, a lot of people on Instagram telling you about the amber teething necklaces, which, honest to God, never effing worked for me. But, if they work for your kid, awesome. I raise your kid the way it works for your family, and don't look to Instagram because all those mom influencers are apparently in orgies or just terrible people. Allegedly, we find out later. Just do what's right for your family and be unapologetic about it. So, your family has different, rules, different values, different judgments. That's okay. I wish we could stop trying to be super mom and just realize we're all on the hot mess express, just trying to get these little humans to grow up to be kind, productive people. That's all most of us are trying to do. Well, okay, I guess the New York Times is just having a moment. But speaking of more animal escapes, apparently 5 horses escaped from a Missouri Renaissance festival because, I don't know, they just were like, "No, we will not be dealing with these people in costumes one more again." A group of Missouri police officers took an unusual journey into the past when 5 horses escaped from a local Renaissance festival. The Wentzville Police Department said on social media that the horses absconded from the St. Louis Renaissance Festival in Wentzville early Wednesday morning. 3 officers, including an animal officer, were nearby and rushed to Rotary Park to wrangle the escaped equines. They quickly teamed up to safely guide the horses back to their stable and assisted in repairing the fence to prevent more escapes. Because, probably true. The bulls were like, break the bonds of your freedom, or break the bonds of your entrapment. We shall be free. In what the hell is going on with this headline? Thank you for the super chat. Not Greedy Bloke, Unhung Hero. Let me get that up while I am doing stuff. You guys, I get to have the magical experience today of buying cold medicine beyond the pharmacist's counter. So I believe I have to bring in my chemistry track records, be able to unsuccessfully do a chemistry equation, a blood sample, I think all of my genealogy. But, I will be there getting that done today. Though it does tick me off that, because of some douchebags, I have to bring in my ID, birth certificate, blood type, chemistry, firstborn, all of my internet history. Thank you, Greedy Bloke. I remember responding to you and then doing something else. Quote, today you're going to die, end quote. A man unalived a popular musician as he crawled away during a baby celebration. Sir, I am going to have to make a directly into the sun thing because I don't even think Lord Chippy wants to deal with your ass. So I'm going to let the snakes deal with you because what in the actual Hades? A Minnesota man unalived his cousin, a popular Thai musician, during a gathering celebrating the recent births in the family, according to police. Lu Chang, and I don't believe that one, 32, is facing second-degree murder in the September 21st shooting of Nishan Kitterkorafon. Y'all, I have messed up this name, but that is as close as I am going to get to being really bad at it. So that's as close as I'm going to be able to correctly butcher his name. Captain Kern, I feel ya with the groceries and everyone needing new shoes. And oh, by the way, there's this, and then there's a party. And then, oh, did we forget to remind you that we needed this, that, and the other? who is reportedly a very popular musician in his native Thailand. Witnesses told Brooklyn Park Police that about 30 people were at the home for a baby celebration when Chang fired 2 shots at Nia Chan's front side. He then fell to the ground. Chang then fired a third shot into the victim's back as he tried to crawl away. Some men at the party subdued Chang and took the firearm away from him, while others called 911. When one person asked Chang why Chang shot the man, the alleged suspect replied, quote, "because he disrespected me," end quote. Another witness told police he heard Chang tell Kitrakoraphone, quote, "today you are going to die," before he pulled out the force multiplier and shot him. Surveillance video overlooking the yard showed Chang approach Kitrakoraphone to say something, appearing to be upset. Kitrakoraphone was unarmed and never posed a threat to Chang, detectives noted. Although the paramedics rushed the victim to the hospital, he was pronounced dead on arrival. Several children, including one as young as 2 years old, were in close proximity to the unaliving, the affidavit said. Cops took Chang to Hennepin County Jail, where he remains on $1 million bond. If convicted, he faces up to 40 years in prison. His next court date is scheduled for October 21st. Among the Humong Talk Facebook page, Kitrakoraphone was a singer who went by the stage name No, you guys need to see this because there is not a vowel in here. What the hell am I supposed to do with Twasep? TSWB. Mawa or Moa. A post described him as a rising star in Thailand's music scene. Thank you, Puddle Town, for your donation to the Children Shoe Fund. Y'all, I don't know what my youngest, most feral does to his shoes. I am not even going to guess because we just bought him new shoes last month, and the sole is coming off of his pair of shoes. And I'm like, what do you do? So thank you so much for the more porridge and other shoe fund. Some days it be like that. And I don't know, maybe not fluoride, I don't know. Let's see. No, I guess New York Times is just having a bad day. So we will go to our next story. And yes, we are going to need yet another group of attendants for Lord Chippy because these headlines, y'all, I can't. Also, I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for reading an Ohio man wearing a blonde wig, makeup, pearls, allegedly attempted to kidnap a child 11 outside his home. I don't know if I'm going to get in more trouble than the person, or I'm not assuming their gender or orientation or what the hell ever, trying to take a child. What kind of world are we living in 2024 when I may get more hate because I don't know how to properly label the offender in this case, rather than the fact that an offender allegedly tried to kidnap a child? I don't understand it. I don't understand the rules of the game this year, but let's continue. An Ohio man wearing a blonde wig, makeup, and pearls was arrested for attempting to abduct an 11-year-old boy from outside his home in the city of Alliance, according to police. Joshua Furmoth, 39, was taken into custody Sunday in the 2200 block of Route 62 in Columbiana County on a warrant of attempted kidnapping, Alliance police said. The suspect goes by the name Vicky, according to Daily Mail. Fryermuth told the child, quote, "I need to talk to you," as he attempted to lure the 11-year-old boy off his property on South Webb Avenue away from his dog. Oh, okay. Thank you, Jeffrey. I was like, I don't understand what, because I was just thinking, there's not a vowel in here. I don't know what to do. So it was not meaning to be disrespectful when I pointed that out. I was just like, y'all, this is a stumper. I didn't think Friday was going to be Stump Mo Day, but it is. So thank you for that information, Jeffrey. Uh, when the child refused, Fairmouth attempted to grab him. The child was able to escape and is now safe. During a court appearance, Fairmouth denied the allegations against him. Quote, I wasn't even there, Fairmouth said in court. I didn't kidnap anybody. The child also allegedly said that his dog attacked Fairmouth, who said in court that he had no dog bites on him. Quote, when he grabbed my son's arm, my dog attacked him, and then he stumbled back off the stairs. The child's father, Zachary Thurmond, told WOIO, quote, he kicked his heels off. My son said that he had white high heels on and then took off running down the street. Fairmouth's bond was set at $100,000, and he is prohibited from having any contact with the victim. He is scheduled to reappear in court on Monday. The incident still remains under investigation. Fairmouth was also arrested on Friday for drug possession charges, and he was released on bond for that incident. Again, why are they letting this man out on bond? He has shown his potential, allegedly, for being a danger to smallish children. You would think, thank you. Yeah, you would think that we wouldn't be giving bond to this. Again, you are going to put criminal justice reform back to the point where people are going to be one strike, you're out, because you keep letting people who are inherently dangerous back on. Ooh, I love Google. TESWB. Interesting. That makes a lot more sense, because I was like, I don't know. Is this like, am I still allowed to use on fleek, or is that bad? I don't know anymore. And I've come to this comfortable age of 40 where I find myself not really giving a shit that I don't know. I'm kind of like, it's okay. I don't care. Well, it's raining outside. It is a post-flare day. I may not be as quick on the uptake with some of these things. I am not going to lie. Or try to pretend that I would be quick on the uptake with anything else. In a fitting, turnaround, the judge who decided to put a teen in handcuffs for sleeping during a field trip is demoted to taking care of speeding tickets. Well, I am going to make fetch happen. That's my first job as president. Executive order number 1. Fetch happened. Can you imagine, you guys? If I were allowed just to be funny most of my presidency, I think that would be awesome. A Detroit judge who was temporarily removed after ordering a teenager into jail clothes and handcuffs during a field trip is back on the bench, but assigned to speeding tickets and other relatively minor offenses. Judge Kenneth King lost courtroom duties in August and was ordered to social emotional training by the chief judge at the 36th District Court. Instead of handling key hearings and major felonies, he returned this week to the court's traffic division. Quote, we appreciate his efforts in preparing for this role and wish him success as he transitions into this new responsibility, Judge William Miconio said in a written statement. King's attorney, Todd Perkins, said the judge is willing to work anywhere at the court. Quote, he truly understands and wholeheartedly embraces the concept of teamwork, Perkins said Thursday. This sounds like, no, I didn't get demoted. It was a lateral shift. Everyone, it was a lateral shift, and I am not on a PIP, a performance improvement plan, I promise. King got in trouble for singling out a 15-year-old girl for falling asleep and having what he considered to be a bad attitude while visiting his courtroom with other teens. He ordered Ava Goodman into jail clothes and handcuffs while the field trip was on live stream video. King also threatened her in front of her peers with juvenile detention before releasing her. The girl's mother, Latoria Till, said she might have been tired because they don't have a permanent address. King told TV stations that he apologized. Till has filed a lawsuit seeking more than 75,000 for quote inflicting fear and severe emotional distress. Wonderful. Again, I think it would have been a hard thing to, as a teenager to deal with the direct ire of a judge during a field trip. Do I believe that the taxpayers need to be on the hook for $75,000? I hope she is only going after the judge, but I feel like that should be solely taken care of by the judge. I don't feel like taxpayers should be on the hook for any of this. I doubt that's how it's going to go, but I could, wish. In what the Hades in hell were these officers doing? I have no clue. Quote, first of its kind. A man in custody for assault crawled like a quote unquote spider, or maybe the officer could have just gotten up from his damn desk, stood up, looked around, uh, to grape a woman in jail intake area, sheriff said. What a disgusting, gross thing that happened. And how did this happen? An Arizona man facing assault charges is potentially even in more trouble after allegedly sneaking around jail guards in order to commit SA. Justin Avery had been detained in April for allegedly assaulting multiple women near the Tempe campus in Arizona State University, Phoenix, ABC affiliate KNXV reported. Video released by the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office appears to show Avery at the intake transfer and release facility days after his arrest, crawling backward along the edge of an official's desk. According to reports, Avery did successfully reach his target, allegedly making his way behind a woman who was asleep and lowering his pants. Another woman who witnessed Avery's actions allegedly told him to get off of her. Avery allegedly responded by telling the woman to be quiet. The exchange got the attention of an officer who then called for backup. He reportedly told the police that he had crawled like a spider toward his intended target. He also, in crude language, told investigators he was drawn to the woman's physical appearance and he did indeed intend to grape her. KNXV reported, citing court records. Avery was subsequently charged with an additional count of SA. Maricopa County authorities say the situation involving Avery is extremely unusual. Quote, we are appalled by inmate Avery's action at our intake transfer release facility, the sheriff's office said in a statement emailed to Law and Crime. This was a unique incident and the first of its kind in 4 years since ITR facility was opened. The sheriff's office says that mirrors have been added for better monitoring in blind spots that were identified, and a review of procedures was conducted. Quote, the safety of staff and inmates is our top priority, and we're committed to ensuring this doesn't happen again. Inmate Avery has been reclassified due to his institutional behavior. What a just no. Why do we have female inmates near male inmates who might be there because they were attempting to grape people or did grape people? This doesn't seem like a, big galaxy brain idea. Separate facility to male and females. While there may still be a large amount of predation, from same-sex offenders, you wouldn't have this. You wouldn't have, a man going up to a sleeping woman and attempting to attack her. When I am the voice of reason, you guys, things have gone terribly wrong. I feel like I should really listen to the police message in a bottle today after getting this as our final story. An archaeologist's message in a bottle found at a dig site 200 years later. Students working at an archaeological site in France made a surprising discovery, a message in a bottle from an archaeologist who worked at the same site 200 years earlier. Juliamonte Blondel, possibly said correctly or incorrectly, the head of the town of EU Regional Archaeologist Service, said student volunteers were working on an emergency dig at the remains of a Gaulish village endangered by cliff erosion when they found a small glass bottle inside an earthenware pot. They brought the bottle to Blondel, who opened it up and read a message inside. The message reads, P.J. Ferret, native of Depay, member of various intellectual societies, carried out excavations here in January 1825. He continues his investigations in the vast area known as Site des Limes or Caesar's Camp. It was absolutely a magical moment, Blondel told BBC News. We knew there had been excavations here in the past, but finding this message from 200 years ago, it was a total surprise. Blondel said local records reveal that Ferret was a well-known archaeologist at the time and conducted his first dig at the village site 200 years ago. Quote, sometimes you see these time capsules left behind by carpenters when they build houses. But it's very rare in archaeology. Most archaeologists prefer to think that there won't be anyone coming after them because they'll have done all the work, he said. Well, in the past, people had humility. End story. Well, there you are, you guys. That is the Mornings with Mo. I will be back in an hour. We will be looking at the end of the Wade Wilson interrogation and then go on to the opening statements. In that case, I was given all of the P. Diddy stuff that Jedi Jess can look at. So I will be going through that in the weekend, and we will be adding P. Diddy to the mix because holy fazolies. I am sorry, Fundian. I don't know what's going on with YouTube or live stream or anything this morning. But I will attempt to see if I can figure out what is going on. I don't know. YouTube seems to maybe have been on the fritz for a while, so I don't know what's going on. No, I did not see the curling iron comment, but I will be very honest that it's hard to keep up with chat all the time when I'm reading. So I will see you guys. Thank you for being such wonderful help and support. And sorry for missing yesterday, but I did get my monitor arm, and I will have Mr. Mo's help in setting up a comfier setting so I can continue to do things from my comfy chair. So the stream might change up a bit. You might have a different background, but I am being proactive this year, knowing fall is a difficult time for me. So we will adapt and conquer. That's the new thing. It is not a weakness, or at least this is what I'm telling myself to make myself feel more positive. Admitting you need help is not a weakness. It's adapting and changing to do what you can do. And for a long time, I fought against that. But if you can look at it as adapting instead of, quitting, giving up, or, signaling weakness, your life will be a lot better. And I had to, hit myself over the head with my own stubbornness for a long time to figure that out. So if you are dealing with something and you need to ask someone for help, you need to change your way, you need adaptive equipment, it is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of understanding how to make things work better for you. So that is my motivational thought for today. And yes, I'll probably just keep it as that cheesy. But have a great day. I will see you guys in a little bit, and just be kind to each other, be safe, be careful out there with all the weather stuff. And if you don't live where weather is bad, then just be careful out there, because I've adopted nearly half of you, and that's what I tell my kids. Don't do anything dumb that's going to land you in jail, on the internet, or, in a ditch. Because if I have to wake up at 1, I love y'all, but I will not be the nicest mom ever. Bye, you guys.